This has been an exciting year. I agree with everything President Middleton said. We are in a much better place than we were a year ago. We've achieved a lot, and I'm grateful to everybody on the university staff for all their help and support. So we'll take your questions.
Good, no questions.
Do you have any suggestions, or have you given any suggestions to the board that you're leaving behind, as far as, being a little more of a risk-taking board, trying new things for the campuses?
Well, no, I haven't given that advice. I think that's really more up to our new president who comes in, and they will work together when he arrives.
You kind of briefly mentioned it just a second ago, and you might have to come back in February if there's, it'd have to be, I guess, kind of a perfect storm kind of thing if Nixon's appointments don't get confirmed and Governor-elect Greitens doesn't appoint somebody to replace them. Is it a contingency plan that you would come back just for that meeting, or how would that work out?
Well, technically speaking, I serve till replaced. So if I don't get replaced, I'll be back.
Would that be you just as the chair?
No, I won't be the chair. I would just remain on the board until a replacement is appointed.
Okay, but Cups, he's done January 1st, regardless, or is he also replaced?
He's in the same position I'm in.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, folks, it's for the radio. I just want to know kind of general picture. We've already had to tighten, university already had to tighten belt some system last couple of years. What, in general terms, is your outlook, your feeling about finances going into a new governor?
You want that one?
Sure. It doesn't look promising. I understand projections on state revenues looking forward are down, and of course a good portion of our funding comes from the state. So we don't expect significant growth in revenue, which then means we've simply got to find more efficiencies, and we're working on doing that. Fortunately, the system has the ability to generate some efficiencies and savings through shared services and these back office operations that we do. So we're going to try to find ways to do more of that and save the resources of the campuses by performing that kind of back office work. So it's not going to be easy, and it's a shame. Higher education is so important to the future of our society that we've got to find ways to grow it and make it better, and that's what we're trying to do, despite the decline in revenue that we see in the future.
Have you met with Governor-elect Greitens yet?
I have not. I have not met with him since he's been governor. I met with the governor several years ago, before I think he was even a politician. Yeah. I was quite impressed with him, by the way. He was a remarkable young man at the time. So I look forward to some progress, hopefully.
I know that Dr. Choi mentioned that he was meeting with him, a couple weeks ago. Do we know if that meeting's happened yet?
I don't.
No?
I'm not sure.
And he's referring to the dinner on Sunday night.
Oh, the dinner on Sunday? Yeah, we will meet with him Sunday night, yeah.
Gotcha. What are some priorities that you guys are bringing to him? I know it's a dinner and it's kind of awkward to talk all work, but it's still important. We
haven't planned that out, but I think, the budget situation is clearly something that ought to be discussed. But, we're not going there with an agenda. We're going there with hungry stomachs. and, trying to make nice and meet, that kind of thing. It's a social occasion.
You talked about the diversity task force and the diversity plan, and that the steps have been made to have a real change going forward. What would be to you a sign of that change? Is there something you could point to say the UM system is a better UM system for students of color now? Will there be a certain sign for that?
There's so many signs. I think if you go through the recommendations of the task force, the more of those recommendations that we can actually fund and implement, it sets up the structure to make us a much better university, a more hospitable university. But culture change, which is what we really need, takes time. And I think the only, I have to say there probably isn't a good measure of that. But when people feel engaged and welcomed and not threatened, that's the sign that we've made some progress. And I think that the structures that we're putting in place as a result of the audit and the task force recommendations will accomplish that goal. It's sometimes hard to put a numerical measure on that kind of cultural change.
Do you see the system as potentially offering any resources, funding to any of the campuses to address some of those goals? Like Mizzou is using IT revenue, I know, for...
Well, we gave Mizzou a bit of money, and fortunately they were able to find money on their own to supplement. We've provided funds to all 4 campuses from the system, and all 4 campuses have supplemented that with their own funding, and we're going to have to continue to find funding to maintain and build on these initiatives. That's going to be a problem with the declining state revenue and the expected declining revenue from the state. But if it's important, then you have to find the resources, and it is important. And I assure you that Dr. Choi thinks it's as important as I do. So I don't see any diminution in our commitment to continuing to work on these issues.
Is that it? I guess aside from maybe like Nick, the next president or maybe Mr. Middleton naming the next chancellor for MU and diversifying or accomplishing the goals of the diversity task force, what do you guys see as the biggest challenge the system will face in the next year or two?
You want to take that?
Well, funding is always a challenge.
Yeah.
And I'd be the first one to tell you that we didn't see what happened in 2015 coming, so there's no way to know.
Yeah.
I guess just real quick back to the curator appointment thing. Do you guys have confidence that Governor like Greitens will be able to appoint somebody and get the board full by the next meeting, or at least have one person so they have a quorum without being able to come back?
There's a lot to be done at the beginning of any administration. And so it's hard to know how many he may well come in and this will be the first thing he does, or not. So we'll just have to see.
There shouldn't be anything standing in his way.
But there's just a lot of appointments to be made.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.